Hi, everyone, and welcome to the latest edition of Talks at Google. My name is Jonathan Priester, and I'm honored to serve as the Global Black Community Inclusion Lead here at Google. In celebration of Juneteenth and Black Music Month, I am honored to be joined by multi-Grammy award-winning artist and blues icon, the incomparable Bobby Rush. With a career that spanned 5 decades, 22 albums, 400 songs, and over 20 hit singles, and inductions into the Blues Hall of Fame, Mississippi Musicians Hall of Fame, and Rhythm and Blues Hall of Fame, Bobby Rush is not only one of the defining artists of his generation and pillar of the blues genre, but he is an artist who has left an indelible mark on the fabric of American music history. In his new memoir, Ain't Studdin Ya, Bobby provides us with an uncompromisingly honest, behind-the-scenes look at the journey that led from the humble roads of Homer, Louisiana, into the halls of blues history. So join me in welcoming Grammy Award-winning Mr. Bobby Rush.
Thank you very much for having me on. Oh God, this day started out to be so nice and so well for me. First of all, talking to a host from Mississippi, man, that make me feel so good, Let me start off by telling you that I was born in a little place called Homer, Haynesville, Louisiana. We said Homer, but it's really 5 miles from Homer, 4 miles from Haynesville, right in between the two towns. And I call it Homer, Haynesville because I'm in between the two towns. That's where I was born, but I left there in 1947. Went to Pine Bluff, Arkansas with my father, who was a preacher and a pastor for church. In 1951, early 50s, I moved to Chicago. By the way, of Memphis, St. Louis to Chicago. I didn't have enough money to buy myself a ticket all the way to Chicago. So I had to go by the way of Memphis, work a little bit where I met B.B. King, Elmo James, Bobby Bland, Muddy Waters, Howlin' Wolf, Little Richard, God, all the guys and Chess Records, everybody from Chess Records that I met on my way to Chicago. Now, what I thought, Jonathan, at the time, I was going to leave the South and go north where it'll be a better life for me as a man, as a blues player, and a black man. And when I got to Chicago, Jonathan, I ran into a brick wall. J.B. Illinois take me to a suburb of Chicago, Blue Island, Illinois, where I worked in a white club behind a curtain where they wanted to hear my music, but didn't want to see my face. And I was devastated because I thought I was leaving the South where all of that racial stuff was. And I'm going north where it wouldn't be in the racial stuff. I could go places and I'd be respected as a man, especially as a blues man and a black man. But I found my valleys, man, and I was knocked down. But nevertheless, I'm here and that's when I realized later on that I want to write this book. I want to tell my story. But then after telling my story on this book called Ain't Studdin Ya, then I realized that some of the things I've been through was terrible, but it's not as bad as some people. Some people didn't live long to tell what I'm telling about my story. And it was so bad. So here I am talking about my story and talking about what I've done, what I've been, where I've been, where I would like to go, what I didn't get a chance to go to. But nevertheless, here I am, and I'm feeling good about myself. I'm feeling good about direction where I stand. Jonathan, I know we came a long way, but not far enough. A lot of things have changed, but a lot of things remain the same.
Yes. And one of the things, again, as a native Mississippian, it's an honor. And as you just alluded to, your career, your journey goes not only across the South, but across the country. And before we even hop into talking about the book, as we know, the last year has been challenging for everybody. And as an artist, you have been known as one of the hardest working men in the industry, spending pre-COVID almost 200 days on the road a year, touring and performing. So before we get into the book and before we go into the different topics we're going to talk about, how have you been? How have you been coping? How's your family doing? And how have you been able to navigate this last year?
It's been a terrible year for me. I was one of the first guys who in Mississippi came down with the virus. And January last year before now, the 28th, I came down with the virus. I went to the hospital and I did everything but the ventilator. So
Mm.
God embraced me because nothing the doctor did, nothing nobody did, because nothing they didn't know what to do. So I was just blessed, but God had blessed me to get up on my toes, get up on my feet, and it happened there in Mississippi. You know, you welcomed me to your show, and you talked about me being. You take me in to be a native of Mississippi. Let me tell you how I got tied into Mississippi. My great grandmom is from Mississippi, near the Vicksburg area.
Mhm.
My great grandfather, who was a white man who had 6 kids by my great grandmom and 5 kids by his wife, who lived in the same house as a slave. So when my great grandfather was sick on his dying bed, he wanted to divide land to all his children. And the white side of the kid, which was half brothers and sister to my great grandmother, they took them to Udover, Arkansas, and dropped them off in a bun, and they raised themselves. That's how my dad met my mom from Louisiana. And I was the first great grandchild moved back to Mississippi looking for my roots, because on my mom's side, there's no black people. They're all white.
Mm.
My mom was my babysitter when we was in public. She was my mother when we was at home. My dad was her chauffeur when we was out in public. He was her husband and my father when we got home. It's a many time my mother went to the store with me and I have to stay behind because she was babysitting me, because she was blue-eyed and blonde hair, and she couldn't let people know that she had this black child, which was her son, talking about me. And I lived like that.
Yeah. Well, one of the things it's interesting that we're talking about your parents, because when we think about your book, I was really sort of impressed and touched about how honest you were about the relationship you had with your parents and all the challenges, not only that you faced growing up, but the challenges that and dynamics that they had to balance
Oh yeah.
in the South when we're thinking about race. And one of the things that you talked about that I'd love to hear a little bit more about is the relationship with your father. You talk about him being the biggest influence on you, both as a man and professionally as an artist. You talk about a lot of different stories with your father. What's one that really just sticks out when you think about the impact that he had on you?
I guess the two thing. One thing stuck out one time. My father, I was in a little place called Sherrers, Arkansas, and I wasn't in school that day. My brother, two brothers, we was uptown. I was just a little old kid. My brother was older than I. So this white man whose name E.L. Burgess came and said, "Listen, boys, if you're not going to be in school, you could be driving one of my tractors and plowing one of my mules in my cotton field." My brother said, he said, "You want to drive?" My brother said, "No, I don't want to drive one of your tractors." So he asked my older brother, "You want to drive?" He said, "No." He asked me, he said, "What about you, Junior?" I said, "No, sir, quite not. I'm following my brothers. They were older." I said, "No, I don't want to drive." He said, "I'll see about that." When we got home, an hour or so later, I saw this white man talking to my father, who was a preacher. And he said, "Boys, come here." He asked my brother, said, "Listen, did Mr. Bridger ask you to drive a tractor for him?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "What you tell him?" I said, I don't want to drive." He asked my other brother, said, "Did he ask you the same thing?" He said, "Yeah." "What you tell him?" Told him I didn't want to work for him. He said, "Junior, talking about me now." He said, Did he ask you to work?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "What you tell him?" I told him I didn't want to work. And at this day, this was a dangerous situation. My dad is a preacher, reached up and got his rifle and caught the man by the collar and said, "I made a deal with you to work your cotton field, not my boys."
Mm.
That was a dangerous situation. But the next few days, I saw this man and my daddy talking like never nothing ever happened. Those were the things. And the next thing, my cousin, when I was about 8 years old, gave me my first guitar. I hid it in a loft. He said, I hid it for about 2 or 3 weeks, and the sun got to it and whopped the old neck. So I went and got it and put it in a horse trough where the mules and horses drank water out of, and it was straightened back out, Jonathan.
Mm.
And I said, "Wow, this is amazing." So one day he said, "Junior," it's what he called me. I'm named after my father. He said, "Come here, boy." I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Bring that guitar here to me." Now I was afraid because I didn't know my dad knew I had a guitar. Of course, your mom and dad know everything, you know. He said, "Bring that guitar here, boy." And he tuned it up and he said, and he right away he sounded like that. He said, "Boy, let me play a song to you I used to sing to a little girl when I was a little bit older than you." What I want to hear the song. My dad had been a pastor of church, and he's a preacher, and my father. I thought he gonna sing about my mama, either glory, glory, hallelujah, when I laid my burden down. He didn't sing that. He went to sing it. Me and my gal went to shanky pin hunting. She fell down and I saw something. I said, "Daddy, preacher." I said, "Man, sing it again, Dad." Now I couldn't ask my daddy what he saw, but I figured the second verse would explain what he saw. I said, "Sing it again." He said, "Me and my gal went to shanky pin hunting. She fell down and I saw something." I said, "Sing it again." Now I'm ready for the second verse now. But my mother was in the kitchen cooking. She said, "Me don't sing that kind of song to that boy." He went to sing it again. My mother was coming up. I said, "Daddy, Daddy, here come mama." I said, he said, "Me and my gal." And I stopped. I said, "Daddy, Daddy, what's your hat on?" He said, "Nothing but a dress, boy, nothing but a dress." I said, "How big was she?" "Oh, 350 pounds, about that wide." And now I know she didn't have anything on but a dress. Now she about this wide. That's 350 pounds. Now I still want to know. I said, "Daddy, Daddy, sing it again." Now I know she didn't have over the dress, nothing on but a dress. I probably had no underclothes under that now. And she weighed 350 pounds. So I want my daddy to sing this song. Let me hear him telling me about what he saw and what it looked like. But he didn't tell. He said, "Me and my gal went to Shakespeare, hon." My mother walking up behind. He looked around. He said, "She fell down and I kept running." So I don't know what the song would have been. That's all I heard. But I know right then, I want to be a blues singer. And I want to sing the blues from that moment on. At 7, 8 years old, man, I knew what I wanted to be. That was my influence. And many other things he did that you can hear in the book that he did and that he inspired me to do. And my dad, man, oh God, I thought whatever he did was right, man. You know, if he survived catching a white man in the collar back in them days and threatened him about his children, oh man, oh man, that was
Yeah.
that was ooh.
No, that's an incredibly powerful story, and I think one of the things it speaks to is the fact that you were in such a unique home, and the fact that your father was a preacher, but
Yeah,
you still got the blessing to be able to sing the
yeah,
blues.
yeah.
So
Well,
where did that love for the blues come from?
let me tell you, but I don't really know. I can guess at it, but I can tell you what. Back in the day when I came up, there were a lot of people who sung the blues or liked the blues, and the blues was to them like the devil's music. But in my home, in my house, it was never like that. My daddy never told me to sing the blues, but he never told me not to sing the blues. So that was a green light to me. If my daddy had said not sing the blues, I wouldn't have been a blues singer today. I know it wouldn't have, because I was obeyed his vision of it, what he didn't want me to do.
No, that's powerful.
So I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful. I have the love and my mom and my
Yeah.
dad, you know, and my mom. I saw the time when my mom. I tell it in this book that my mom. I can remember one particular time when three white men came up. One guy was leading the horse, other two guys were riding the horse. My mother named Maddie, and someone said, one of the guys said, "Hey, Maddie," so what you doing with? And use the N word. So what you doing with this N word? My mom said, I'm a nigga too.
Mm.
My mom. Then she said, "Junior, sit in the back of the wagon." We was in a wagon. She said, "Ask Mr. Bear." Mr. Bear was a store owner. So she went in the store. I can remember now how she went in the store. She was about 41, 42, maybe 43 years old at this time. When she went in the store, My mom, I can see my mama now looking back on it. She was this white woman. When she went in the store, she was uh, carrying on with the white guys in there. Now she's white. When she left me, she was my mama. Now she's my babysitter. Now she's in the store. She's white. But I can see now how she protect my father when she went in there to protect my father because I believe they came to do harm to my dad because he was married to this white woman, had some relationship with this white woman, which was my mom. But when she went in the store, she set me on the back of the wagon, indicating that she was babysitting me. And then she went into the store. And when she came back, my dad had probably, I don't think he ever knew that she was in the store because she did all these things, I believe now, to save my dad's life.
Mm, mm. That's it's. I keep saying it, but it's incredibly powerful, and I think it speaks to all of the unwritten rules that people have to navigate, and people have had to navigate throughout the history of this country. When we think about racism, when we think about the discrimination people go
Yeah.
through, and throughout your book, one of the things that was really striking to me is that while it is your story, while you're very honest about the personal elements of your story connects and is representative to the story that many in America have had to deal with in terms of the harsh realities of racism and discrimination, especially within the Black community. And as we're talking about the different experiences that you've had, and particularly around race, the last year, we've just passed the 1 year anniversary of the murder of George Floyd. We're currently in the process of celebrating Juneteenth, and there's legislation currently now on Joe Biden's desk, President Joe Biden's desk,
Right.
around making it a federal holiday.
Right.
So would love to get your thoughts, not only as a musician, as an artist, as a child of the South. What has this last year meant to you in terms of the movement for racial justice, the movement for racial equity that we've seen? And how does this compare to what you've seen before?
Um, if I had been writing this book at this moment for the last year, I probably would have wrote something a little different because
Mm,
what you saw with George Floyd is no more than what been on my neck for 87 years.
mm,
Of the lack of opportunity is the same thing. It just, opportunity wasn't there. That's a foot on my neck. And when I look at what happened in the White House just a year ago, I probably would have wrote something different in that sense because all the things have that we look that it look like it have changed really remain the same. That it's almost like my music, it's almost like my life, really. Because when I was a child, what I'm referring to, when I was a child, we didn't have no inside toilet. We had to go outside to a toilet and it smelled bad and the whole bit. Now we got toilets everywhere and they smell good. In my house, I have 9 bathroom mains in my house and they smell good. But guess what? Whatever we did in them then, we still do it now. That
mm,
haven't changed. So to let you know that all the things have changed, some things remain the same. And I
mm,
found that out about some part of this life about the black and white issue. It haven't changed.
mm,
It's just that I was able to survive the rat race because I didn't know about some of the things that other people knew about. Let me tell you what I mean about that. When I came up, my daddy was a farmer, but he contracted the cotton field, picked cotton, but we did it for my father. In our church, it was all black. In the school was all black. So I didn't know about the interracial thing until I got grown. I didn't know what they were doing to me in Chicago in the early 50s when they want to put me into a white club and put me behind a curtain where I played. They want to hear my music but not see my face. I didn't understand what some of other people understood because I hadn't been there and done that. Because my dad didn't play that. So I was protected from those things. I didn't know that. I didn't know about some of those things other people knew about before I saw what happened in Washington, D.C. I
mm,
didn't know about some of those things that happened to Floyd that would happen to a lot of other people. But when I think about myself, I'm one of the it's a small thing what did to me compared to some other people. But I was just talking about what happened to me. What I want people to know is that If I survive it, you can too.
When I think about what you just said in terms of your experience being able to light a path for others, I think one of the things that is really striking, and you talk about this in the book, is the power of independence, the power of being able to own your own and able to chart your own path. And in your book, you talk about the struggles that you've had with the industry, with individuals taking advantage, not owning up to the deals that they were supposed to own up to. Can you talk to me a little bit about how you got to the point where you said, you know what, if I'm going to continue in this industry, I'm going to have to own my own?
I come very early in my life. I didn't know what I was doing. It was just some luck, some mishap. When I say luck and mishap, the luck was that I didn't know. I went to Chicago in the early 50s. I went to get a contract with Chess Records. And that was Bo Diddley was there, Muddy Water was there, Willie Dixon was there, Jimmy Reed was there, Johnny Hooker, uh, Bo Dylan, and a bunch of people sitting around. I was trying to get this job because I'm one of the younger one. I'm like a teenager. They like 20, 25 years old. Well, nobody wasn't 30 years old. And I was trying to get this job. And I made a mistake. I call it a mistake. There was a pamphlet on his desk said the union was merging, 10 and 208 was merging. And I read the paper and I had the paper looking at it like this and said, wow, this is great. Bo Dylan and a few other guys were sitting around and they kind of laughed at me. Maybe they knew something I didn't know. So I put the paper down. So one of the brothers of the chess record walked in. He said, what did that boy say? He said, the union emergency. He said, where he get that information? He said, off your desk. He threw it back at me. Said, boy, what did that say? And I read it to him. He turned and told his brother and used the word. He said, we can't use that nigga because he can read. So I didn't get the job. I recorded that chess and didn't get the job. But shortly after that, I started working downtown on Rush Street. And at that time, I found out later that Capone controlled or owned a lot of the stuff down there. So I got a job down there, and they knew I had a job there, and I got pretty close with one of the Capones. And that's how I got that's how I kind of lied my way through some things because I didn't know Al Capone. Didn't know him at all, didn't know nothing about him. But they knew I worked in that scene. So when I came to record after that, they said, here come that old Capone boy. Give him what he wants. And they'll let me have everything I want. At the meantime, I'm walking out the studio with my masters. God, and I use that for an advantage. So now they probably want to spray me up because I didn't know what Capone, man. But I use it to my advantage. Let him have. He would ask me sometime, you got a bill here, man. We gonna pay it today. I said, no, I'm gonna take it to my boss. They let me walk out the door because the boss, they didn't want no part of that, And I used it for my advantage. Then I found out that was some things about that would be to my advantage. And I started using that more and more, more and more and more and more. And then inside of the book, I goes on in depth telling about the connection with that, And I found out that's I want to be, and they call me the Chitlin Circuit, the king of the Chitlin Circuit. What I have done, John, is I have crossed over to a white audience, but I never crossed out my black audience. I know one thing, that I'm this blues man, not just a blues man, I'm a black blues man, And I remember 60 years ago, could be a little less than 60 years ago, could be 45 years ago, they invented a wah-wah. So white guy could sound like the black guys playing. What bothers me about that situation, now you got black guys buying wah-wah trying to sound like a white guy who's trying to sound black. Those kind of things. Those kind of things. And then some of the black guys around don't want to play the blues because the blues remind them of slavery, I suppose. At least it make them sound like or seem like that blues is something less than something else, because the people who write about that, guess who they are? They're not black people. I give you 3 guesses and the first 2 don't count. You know, and that's what happened with me. I looked up on this. When I said looked up on it, I wasn't trying to do it, but after the fact, I used it to my advantage.
Mm,
Used to my advantage. And then Jonathan, I tried to stay away from things that I thought would harm me as a black man. That was the
mm,
Cadillac cars and the limousine and the diamond rings. Don't get me wrong, all that's good. But I stayed away from those kind of things, and it helps me stay grounded because I had three beers in my lifetime. I had a beer in 1957. I hadn't one before or since. I don't drink, smoke, get high, no form of fashion. I did a lot of things, man, in my life. I'm not a perfect guy, man. Listen, man, I'm a blues singer, man. I've been around, and you know, and everything about this book is the truth. But a couple of things that I lied about. One of them is that I said I wouldn't sleep with a fat woman no more. I lied about that, Johnny. You know, I lied about that. But overall, I laugh about myself and talk about myself. So many things I didn't get right, but
mm,
so many things I did right.
mm.
You know.
Well, one of the things I tell people all the time that I've had the privilege of seeing you perform live in Tunica, Mississippi. And one of the things that's just so striking about you as an artist is that you are a quintessential, you are a storyteller. And
Yes.
in the whether it's in the written word, whether it is on stage, you are
Yeah.
able to weave together these stories and bring them to life through your music and through your words. And one of the things that's so striking about your book is that as you're telling your story, in so many ways, you're telling the history of the blues. You're telling the history of American music. So even in just now in the story, you talked about chess records and you talk
Yeah.
about Muddy Waters and BB King. These are all not only your contemporaries, these are all fellow legends in the game. So as you're writing this book and thinking about those relationships, what are some of the things that you took from those relationships that think have gotten you to where you are today? When you think about the times that you were with Muddy or the times you were with BB King, all these other luminaries in the industry, what are the things you were able to pick up along the way that helped you in your journey?
There's so much I picked up from the guys who that looked up to. Some of the guys was like addicts, used a lot of drugs and drank a lot, and I saw the downfall of them. I said to myself, I don't want to be like that.
Mm,
I saw some things was happening to them. Didn't want to be like that. But then I got trapped up, and people who used me and took from me weren't all white people. It were black people who worked for white people. It's like the field guy, like the house guy,
mm,
because Willie Dixon was there with Chess Record. But Willie Dixon wasn't writing all that stuff, man. They know, I know that, and Buddy Guy know that, and nobody talked to me about that. Nobody haven't talked to Buddy Guy about that. But when you talk to Buddy Guy and Bobby Rush, you find out that Willie Dixon didn't write that. And it was hard for me to tell the truth about that because it hurt Willie Dixon children. But what
mm,
about Muddy Water children that he claimed he wrote things for Muddy Water, and Muddy Water children ain't getting anything?
mm,
Because how you gonna be this writer to write for a man who couldn't read or write?
mm,
Let you know who's bringing the story. The guy who couldn't read or write was bringing the story. He could read and write, so he was writing the story down. They told, and he claimed he wrote it. That's what was happening. That's
yeah.
what was happening. And this ain't never been, the cover ain't never been pulled off. Now I know this book gonna rock some boat, but all they can do is tell the truth about it.
Right. Right.
How you gonna write Hoochie Coochie Man for Muddy Waters?
Mm.
How you gonna write for Bobby Rush Chicken Heads?
So you touched on something. I want to dig in a little bit deeper on it. You talked about the being able to tell your own story, being able to
Yeah,
tell the truth, being able to have ownership of your own story.
yeah,
And one of the hardest things for any artist to get is longevity. And you
yeah,
have defined longevity. And I'm sure that throughout your career, some may not know you play multiple instruments. The harmonica is one that you are
yeah,
especially known for.
yeah,
And people in industry executive would say like, hey, don't say it that way. Don't do it that way. But you did it your way. You did it the Bobby Rush way. How did you go into those situations and have the confidence to say, this is the way I'm going to do it? I'm going to own my voice. I'm going to own my artistry And
I didn't.
if you don't like it, you don't like it.
I didn't. You said it. I said, I'm damn if I do, damn if I don't. You like it or you don't like it. That's my attitude about life. I didn't want the record company telling me what to record and how to record it and what to say in my song. I went along with it as long as I could to get some commercial thing going. I remember when I did Chicken Heads, I told Calvin Carter, I said, I have a song. He was with VJ Records at the time. This is 1968, roughly. He said, what's the name of the song? I said, Chick Head. So his partner was a Jehovah's Witness preacher. He said, chick head. No, that's borderline. We can't do nothing about no chick head. He said, where you from? I'm from down south. He said, oh yeah, you black guys eat chicken head down south, and laugh. He said, how does the song go? I said, Daddy told me on his dying bed, give up your heart, but don't you lose your head. You came along, what did I do? I lost my heart. My head went too, which had nothing to do with the chicken. You know, he said, well, we got to have a B-side, man. I love that. Give me what you got for a B-side. I said, I have a song. He said, what's the name of the B-side? I said, Mary Jane. He said, oh, yeah, Mary Jane. I love that, man. I had a girl when I was in school. Her name was Mary Jane. We can do that. I wasn't talking about a girl at all. I was talking about reapers, smoking, getting high, But they didn't know what I was talking about. So I used it to my advantage because I saw some guy didn't know where I was coming from. And that's what I did. And that's where I did when I did Sue and all that stuff like that. Because I came to Jackson, Mississippi looking for my roots, but I found James Bennett, who didn't understand my production. So he was my producer and never been in the studio with me. But by me giving him the title of producing me, he would let me do what I want to do. So that's not my way of escaping to get the chance to put on my record what I want to put on it and say what I want to say in the way I want to say it. And then I would own the masters of it and the song and the rights of it. And then that's where I kind of hid behind. Like I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew what I was doing. This the way wouldn't cut me off. The reason I'm saying this to you because I happen to be talking. I didn't talk about this in the book as much as I'm gonna say now. I happened to saw what Sam Cooke did back in the day. I happen to know some of the things Michael Jackson done, Prince. I happen to know some things that some of the others guys, I'm not calling name now, what they was doing and how the management and the record company was cutting them off in the past. I learned from that because that's something you could not do because, hey man, even Martin Luther King, he got killed for things Bobby Rush tried to do. Now I can talk about this now a little bit because I'm like Martin Luther King. I've been to the promised land. And I can say some things now at my age that I couldn't say long ago. I can say something now. And I know this book is gonna rock some boat, but it's some true things in it. That's why people are gonna read it because I'm rocking some boat on myself and everything else.
Right.
In this book, I'm telling about some things I haven't did just right in my life, my family, and what have you. That been some relationship. Hey, I'm a man. Come on, I'm on the road. I tell it. Hey, babe, I was this musician when you met me. Come on, the same old blues guy, and I can get tempted by different things. It just happened to be. I didn't get tempted with the dope and things like that. Other not a user. I got tempted by many things, but not a user. And I'm just blessed. I'm just blessed. Yes. I'm just blessed.
So one of the things that I really just stuck with me with what you were just sharing in terms of the power of information. So when you were thinking about, again, I say you are the definition of not only longevity, but also you're the definition of legacy. And very much so, the legacy of the blues is being carried forward by you because you don't show no signs of stopping anytime soon.
No.
So my question for you is, what advice would you have for those artists who are just starting out, just trying to find their voice to say like, hey, I want to be like Bobby Rush and have not only the awards, the Grammys, the Hall of Fames, but have a career that spans decades, what advice would you give to them who are just starting their career?
Make sure that you got your craft together, your business together, and your writing and your publishing, and think in that order. But then make sure that you're good at what you're doing. Let me tell you something. There's no brag. I'm good at what I do. Because if I'm good at what I do, when you see me, you don't have to like me. Just respect me. Say, well, I don't like old Bobby Rush, but damn, he good. That's all what matter. Be good at what you do. I'm good at what I do, man. And I you had, and to get here, you had to work hard, practice, and be born to do it. Because you have to look in the mirror at yourself. You either have it or you don't have it. You're not warm, almost warm. You either one or the other. You either have it, you don't have it. And I'm just blessed, man. And I tell everybody out here now that who wants to get in this business, learn the business and look in the mirror and be good at what you do. Make sure that you cut out to be this entertainer, because everybody who said they entertainer want to be entertainer, really not born to be entertainer. You can teach a man how to play a guitar, a lot of other instruments, but you can't teach a man how to be an entertainer. You got to be born to do that.
Well, our audience may not know this, but coming up shortly, you're going to be blessing the stage and giving us a one-of-a-kind Bobby Rush performance. But before we do that, I want to talk more about, like I said, your artistry, your craft, because I think one of the things that's very clear is if you've ever been to a show, you haven't been to a show like a Bobby Rush show. And your dancers, your presence, the stories you tell, it is truly one of a kind. There is not another blues man that's out there that has the same kind of performance. There's not another artist that has the same type of performance. So my question is, what inspired you and what helped you find the stage and make the stage your own in your own Bobby Rush kind of way?
I really can't put that in words to tell you how I do that, but I'm so blessed to have this modification thing in my heart and head. I know the girl would bring the men's. I know the way I dress, I would bring the ladies. So I got to bring both sides to the table. And I do that because I know that's a way of entertaining, because it's not about singing, it's about entertaining. And that's what I feel about it. That's what I do, man. Oh God, that's what I do for it. And nothing I can say about it. But I know, and I can walk on the stage in 2 seconds and tell what song I should sing next. That's the gift that God have given me. I can look through and tell you. And plus, I like rap. I like the country western. I like all kind of music, but I know what I can do best. I know what fits me. Then I like to rap. Yeah, a lot of guys in my age bracket talk about the rap. Listen, I don't endorse all the rappers and what they say and do, the pants down. But here's what I say to that: if you uplift the head level, the pants will come with it. Because they can only sing about what they know about, like writing a book. You can only write about what you know about, and that's it. Of course, now rappers, from Snoop Dogg them all down, God, man, they stole that stuff from me, James Brown. We was rapping before they was born. If it wasn't for Bobby Rush, probably wouldn't be no 50 cent, be a dime or quarter, something like that.
I like it. Well, I'm going to turn it over to the incomparable Bobby Rush, multi-Grammy award winning. Ladies and gentlemen, you all are in for a treat. I turn the stage over to Bobby Rush for a special presentation and performance.
I'm broken, disgusted, yeah. Lord, my heart been broken too. Lord, I'm broken, disgusted, and my heart been broken too. Won't you let me in your house, little girl, so I can have a little talk with you? If I can't come in, let me sit down here by your door. If I can't come in, little girl, Just let me sit down here by your door. I'll leave so early in the morning. Your real man will never know. If I can't sleep in your bed, let me lay down here on your floor. If I can't sleep in your bed, mama, just let me lay down here on your floor. If I walk in my sleep, little girl, you're the only one but ever know. If I can't be your full-time lover, let me be your part-time man. If I can't be your full-time lover, just let me be your part-time man. If I can't see you when I want to, just let me see you when I can. If I can't be your big dog, baby, let me be your little dog till your big dog come home. If I can't be your big dog, baby, let me be your little dog till your big dog come home. And I will show you, little girl, how a little dog can bear a bone. Chicken in the car, and the car won't go. That's the way you spell Chicago. Knife and a fork and a plate of green. That's the way you spell New Orleans. See the girl over there with the white dress on. Turn a loose band. Let her turn Bobby Rush on. Me and that woman go hand in hand. She's a bow-legged woman, and I'm a knock-kneed man. I'm gonna say that again. Chicken in the car, and the car won't go. That's the way you spell Chicago. Knife and a fork, y'all, and a plate of green. That's the way you spell New Orleans. See the girl over there with the pretty white dress on. I said, turn her loose, fellas. Let her turn me on. 'Cause me and that woman go hand in hand. She's a bow-legged woman, and I'm a knock-kneed man. Oh, yeah. A bow-legged woman and a knock-kneed man go hand in hand. A bow-legged woman and a knock-kneed man go hand in hand. A bow-legged woman and a knock-kneed man go hand in hand. You go hand in hand. Chicken head, there is. Chicken head. You know, how long? Somebody tell me how long, how long? How long? Somebody tell me how long, how long? If you're confused, Talking about my 40 acres and my mule. Granddaddy died waiting. Mama died waiting too. Martin Luther King died waiting. Tell me what about me and you? If you're still confused, talk about my 40 acres and my mule. Sometimes I wonder what's gonna happen to me when I get too old. Sometimes I wonder what's gonna happen to me when I get too old. Would you take me in your arm? Or would you just throw me a door? Sometimes I wonder why they treat me like they do. Sometimes I wonder why the world don't treat me right. Is it because I sing the blues? Is it because I'm blind? You know, somebody always asking me, Bobby Rush, how many instruments you play? Harmonica is one of them, guitar. I play bass, a little drum, keep a little rhythm from a lot of the little pianos and what have you, but my main instrument is my guitar, my harmonica. I remember my dad showing me the guitar. He also showed me the harmonica thing. I used to play the train with him. Go. But then I had someone ask me not long ago, so Bobby Rush, why do you sing the blues? Is it because your woman left you? Well, yes. You can have the blues when your woman leave you, but you can also have the blues if they stay too long. Let me kind of demonstrate what I'm talking about. Have you ever been mistreated by someone you shouldn't have loved? Have you ever been mistreated by someone you shouldn't have loved? Out of all the men my woman could have left me for, she left me for the garbage man. No matter how bad she treated me, still can't get out my mouth. No matter how bad she treated me, still can't get out my mouth. Every time I see a garbage can, I think about her and the garbage man all the time. ever get my woman to come back home, buy myself a garbage truck. Ever get my woman to come back home, I'll buy myself a garbage truck. And when my garbage can't get full, I'm gonna take it and dump it way, way, way out in the woods. That's the blues for you. My name is Bobby Rush. I'm better known as Sue's boyfriend. It's been so good playing for you, talking to you. I'm so thankful for being around for 70 years recording, 397 records, up for Grammy, 6 times, 1, 2, box set 4 or 5 years ago and won that. Been up for a blues award in Memphis, Tennessee. In the blues category, I've been nominated 31 times. I believe I won 17 of those. And this year, traditional blues album of the year, called Rawer Than Raw. How that came by with the name, because it's raw, but it's even rawer than that. It's like, if you get down low, how to get lower than that? You dig under the ground, underneath the lower than low. So you can't get any lower than that. You can't get any rawer than this. That's what I'm coming from. So thank you for having me on. Thank you for listening to me. Go out and get this book, because I put my heart in it. It's my story. I know other people got stories they have told in their life, and they stories matter. My life matter, and my stories matter. I had some ups and downs, some hills, but my valleys didn't shake me to the point where I didn't quit. I had some bad times, but my good overtake the bad. Thank you for listening to me. I love you for that. And I'm blessed today having my home man, who's Jackson, Mississippi, my host. God, how blessed could I be? 2 Mississippi guys talking. Thank you for having me on, Jonathan.
Thank you, Bobby. And ladies and gentlemen, the incomparable Bobby Rush. As we celebrate Juneteenth, as we celebrate Black Music Month, Bobby Rush not only is a blues man, he is someone who has left an indelible mark on the very fabric of American music. And it has been an honor to speak with you, Mr. Rush. It has been an honor to go through the history with you and read your book. For everyone, Ain't Studdin Ya is going to be on bookshelves around the world on June 22nd. Please pick it up as we continue to safely move past the pandemic, safely and surely move past the pandemic. Bobby Rush is going to be hitting a stage near you. So if he's in your city, please make sure you go and check him out and have an incredible day, have an incredible Juneteenth, an incredible Black Music Month. It's been an honor. This is Talks at Google, and we have been blessed by the one and only multi-Grammy Award winning Hall of Famer, the one and only Bobby Rush.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed it. God bless you and your family.
Bless you as well.